Hello there and welcome to my channel. Back again, finally. Got a new job and therefore all the worries are out of the way. So what I'm here to talk to you tonight is just like something that bothered me because I migrated recently to FrSky, being a very good transmitter and receivers. They have very good gear and everything. The only problem I had was that every time I would buy like a receiver, I didn't know what to actually buy as far as firmware. There are so many different type of receivers. There are so many different type of software you can actually upload and flash and everything on this kind of radio that yeah, it is very versatile, but you got to be a complete computer programmer, which I'm not. Just like a novice. So I decided to make this video to actually explain a bit what I found out so far about the FrSky. For the benefit of everybody, because there are a lot of like specialized video online from different people that tell you how to do this, how to flash the firmware, how to do that, and blah blah blah. But actually they do not give you a broad picture on what the system FrSky is all about. And this is so far what I have understood. Come with me, I made like a little thingy. So in order to understand fully how this system works, we have to start from the transmitter, like that. This is my transmitter. It's a Taranis. I have 2 or 3 different types of transmitters, but this is the one I have. And every transmitter adds inside a module, which is actually the radio module, the one that translate all your inputs into radio frequencies and send it to a receiver and so forth. This module is called an XJT module. It is the radio transmitter and decoder. I think XJT means exchange JR transmitter or something like that, or extra JR transmitter, because it's the JR type of module that you can fit in the back of the radio. Anyway, whatever it is, it's not a problem. Just so you know, every XJT module has its own firmware, and it could be all EU, non-EU, or EU. This firmware can be recognized by the different type of binding you can have with this type, the firmware which is loaded on here. And you can see what type of firmware you have. If you can buy only D16, you will have an old EU, which is an obsolete firmware. If you have a non-EU one, which will accept all the countries and no listen before talk or LBT, then it will be an international type of things. You can go in the US, Australia, places like that. In Europe, just because we want to have our own regulation as usual, more regulation for Europe, you have to have an LBT, a listen before talk. Practically the 2 modules have to listen to each other before they can start talking. Don't know what it is, but that's what it is for Europe. For EU LBT, which is the new EU, you can only bind D16 and LR12, which is not a big problem because D8 is kind of like oldish type of thing. Nobody uses it and it's not very versatile, but that's how it is. This is how you find what type of firmware you have on it. You have to go on a menu for any model. You choose page 2, you go down to the binding thingy, come on, here we are. Here, this 16 is the type of mode you have, and if you press on it enter and scroll up and down, you will see what will do. It will be off, D16, D8 and LR12. Okay, there are no more, and that's practically what is. Once you know what type of firmware you have, you can also update this firmware through the TX companion, which is a GUI or like a program that you load on your personal computer. You can find it through the FrSky site or many other sites that deal with the FrSky, and through a cable that you will attach to a personal computer, you will have the possibility to create new models, modify your menu and everything. You can do a lot of things, which also apply a new firmware and like flash the firmware on the XJT module. Okay, here we go. So once you have that and you know which kind of firmware you got, you pass to the receiver. The receiver has to have the same firmware on it. So if he's in EU and needs LBT, you buy or flash on it an LBT firmware. So you'll be working on your computer quite a while if you don't know what to buy. For example, here I bought an RX6R, a kind of newish receiver, and it says EU LBT. That's the thing, the firmware that I need to have on mine, and they do bind correctly. If you haven't got the right firmware, or is an old firmware, or is not like really well loaded or flashed or anything, it will not bind. You will get a red and a green light, a flashing red green light or something, but it will not bind and nothing will work. So when that happens, just go on the side, choose the firmware that you think is best for you, for the firmware that is on your receiver, flash it, and then if it binds, you have hit the jackpot. You can also load on it FCC firmwares for all different type of firmwares which accept this transmitter. Or there are different type for example S-Bus that will allow you 16 channels to, or other older version, newer versions, fixed up versions that you can always see on the FrSky site, and where you can actually get the whole thing done. Alright, I hope it was a good overview for you. This will give you an idea on how the system of FrSky works. It's nice. It goes further than the Spectrum, it goes further than any other actual thing. That is, it has a good price, and I think is worth exploring. Thank you very much. Blue sky to everybody.